Hello and welcome to the Wellness Journey podcast with me, Rhi Bowden.
And me, Suzanne Williams. This season is all about power, and today we're going to be chatting about the power of now.
That's a fabulous topic.
Absolutely.
I think it flows nicely after last week.
Oh yeah, so, Tara was all about bringing it into the now.
Yeah, we had a beautiful guest, Tara, and she really spoke about her power and where she gets her power from with her cancer treatment.
Yeah.
And the power of now was mentioned. So we wanted to, expand on that, I guess.
Definitely.
And I think the best person to start would be you, Suzanne, because you teach mindfulness and meditation. I think you're the perfect person to kickstart this episode.
It's one of my biggest life hacks. I'm going to call it a life hack. Being in the power of now. And Eckhart Tolle wrote the famous million-seller book, The Power of Now, about if we can be in this moment, we create so much space for our world, instead of living in the past and the future, which is what most of us do.
Yeah.
Something happened earlier, something's happening tomorrow, back, forth. We become confused, chaotic, and so many things can come from that. But if we can bring ourselves into this moment, occasionally, not all the time, things change. Our brain does wonderful things. We feel differently, and we are not then a slave to our thoughts of yesterday and thoughts of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Power of now is, I believe, one of the biggest powers that we have as a human.
Oh,
Big.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. It was a real light bulb moment for me, realising that I don't have to engage in my thoughts, and I could just be present right here, right now, and experience everything. So what am I feeling? What can I feel? What can I hear? What can I taste? What can I see? Being in that, in that moment. And that was my light bulb moment for me when I did my mindfulness training, or mindfulness course, I should say, because I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know.
That's the thing, isn't it? You don't know. We think this is how we all are. We're all thinking all the time. We're all thinking about tomorrow, yesterday. But we even talk about tomorrow, yesterday all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, what does this moment feel like? Like, ooh, this moment.
And slower. Yeah. How everything is just slower for me now, because whilst my head was racing and thinking about all the different thoughts that I was thinking about, whether it was the past or the future, my head was so busy that I was then always in a rush. And
oh gosh.
Whereas when I took that out, I then wasn't in a rush anymore, and I was just slower. Everything was just slower because the busyness of my head created more busyness in my life.
Absolutely.
Whereas when I switched off or had less thoughts that I engaged in, because you never switch them off.
No.
But when I engaged in less of those thoughts and was more present and in the now, everything just became calmer and just slower. And I even drive slower now.
That's
I
a big
do
symptom.
Things slower.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't rush around at speed.
No.
I walk slower. I do things slower. I eat slower. I drive slower.
We even speak slower
when
we come into the
now. Yeah.
And that's a big trick for your brain. That from psychology background, that is, if you want to feel calm, trick your brain by speaking slower, and your brain thinks, they're calm, because you are actually coming into that moment then. It's about not always being everywhere. I describe it sometimes as in like a light, isn't it? Like a filtered light. If you're looking for something and you've got a light that's casting a gaze everywhere, it's very hard to find that thing. If you have like a beam of a torch, a focused beam, it's much easier to find something. And when your mind is in this moment, it's focused. And every problem, challenge you have is much easier to look at through that lens. Because often people say to me, oh, but isn't mindfulness, you're just burying the head in the sand. You're not looking. You are looking at things. You're looking at big things, but you're looking with this beam of light, not a scattered, chaotic mind. And you may be listening to this and thinking, but I've got a scattered, chaotic mind. I can't do it. My mind 20 years ago was about as scattered and chaotic as I believe it can be. And now I can be in this moment. I can be fully present because our brains are very clever.
Yeah.
And being in this moment is, oh my gosh, a life changer. And I will say that, a life saver for me, saved my life.
Yeah.
On every level. So, and it's a fabulous place to be. When you're reading your favourite book, it's the best place to be in the world. Why would you want to be anywhere else? Isn't it nice to experience this moment as it is? Occasionally. Sometimes we can't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But to be present with your favourite cup of tea.
Yeah.
Oh,
or even,
my gosh,
when you're with
wonderful.
people, when you're with your family, when you're with your friends, when you're actually with them and you're engaging with them and you're in that moment rather than, they're talking, but your mind is somewhere else. You're still thinking about that shopping list or that or whatever it may be.
Definitely.
But actually to engage fully, be fully present with your family, with your children, with your friends. And that experience then is so much, it's richer.
Oh my gosh.
It's richer. And I think, we have a lot of distractions these days, including technology. And I myself, you find yourself on your phone scrolling, and before you know it, 15 minutes later, you're still there. You just went on to, I don't know, read a message that came up or check an email or something. And before you know it,
you're lost.
You're lost in that. And the amount of times that I found myself, in this phone and in this device, and maybe my kids have come home from school and I'm still dealing with, and it's like, no, put that down, be present with them.
Present.
They're now coming through the door, be present with them. And I certainly, we have times at home where we don't have technology, around the dinner table. There will not be a phone or an iPad or anything anywhere near that. We are engaging as a family and being present. Because you cannot be present when you have those distractions.
You can't.
You can't, no.
And your brain likes being distracted. So if you give it a distraction of your million thoughts and the TV on and the radio on in the background, it loves it, keeps it busy. But if you want it to feel more spacious and calm and joyful, you can train it like a little puppy dog to come into this moment. Everyone can to a certain degree. Okay, general there, because there are little bits and bobs that are more difficult, but we can filter and focus our mind, and it takes a bit of practice, doesn't it? Like training that dog to come back on the lead, training it, pulling it back till eventually that dog learns to walk next to you, because you've trained it, not because it naturally did, not because it wanted to sniff every tree as it walked, but you wanted it to walk next to you, and you trained it and you brought it. And it takes that just getting into this moment, because eventually it'll love being in this moment.
And it's a habit, it's habit forming,
habitual,
and it's a skill. For me, I felt like I had a new skill. I had a new tool to my toolbox that I could bring it back to this moment. So being aware of those thoughts going off or those distractions, and then bringing it back, and that was immensely powerful then to have. I have control over my mind. I have control over what thoughts I choose to think.
Yes.
I have control over, actually, I'm spending too much time on this phone. I put it down.
Yes.
Awareness of that, put it down, be present.
Yeah, definitely. Your mind can do marvellous things if it's, the mindfulness creates space. Space creates choice creates freedom. You can free yourself from so much of this just by allowing it to come into this moment and choosing awareness. I'm reading now I'm not reading. I'm chatting to you now I'm not chatting to you. I'm scrolling on my phone now I'm not scrolling on my phone. I'm worrying about that thing now I'm not worrying about it. Having moments of now. Each moment is a separate moment, and they don't have to continue if you don't want them to. You can stop that one and then you can start a new one. The power that we have with our mind, and we can use lots of excuses, and maybe I would have 20 years ago. I'm too busy, I'm too stressed, Rhi, I'm too stressed, I'm too busy, I'm too anxious, I panic, I can't, Rhi. But you can. And those excuses faded for me into the background, because the power of now was awesome, and my brain could do it. Thank you, brain. Before she couldn't, but now Yes, and that's incredible. Tool.
And I think
Power tool.
the realization as well that meditation and mindfulness are two separate things.
Yes.
Because the excuse is, like you were saying, I'm too busy, I don't have time for that. I thought that to be mindful, I have to go and sit somewhere quietly and think about my breathing and switch off these thoughts and do that. And then when I realised, oh, actually, they're two separate things. And this is what I try to explain to a lot of my clients, is just, we can be mindful at any moment, at any time. You don't need any extra time to do it. No. So when you're on that journey and you're dropping your kids to school, for example, be mindful in that moment. Say to yourself, I'm going to feel the steering wheel. I'm going to feel the seat underneath me. I'm going to hear what's going on. I'm going to see what's happening in front of me. So you don't need any extra time.
No.
You can choose
it's part
in
of
that
your day.
moment. Yeah.
It's part of your day. And when I teach it, I will say that you can be mindful when you're brushing your teeth, listening to the birds, when you're in the shower, smelling your shower gel. When you're on a wee, you can take a deep breath. Because these are things you're doing as a routine anyway. We're never too busy to be mindful, because being mindful is living, and we're all living. If we're in this moment, we're here, so we can choose. I'm going to mindfully read my book. I'm going to talk to you mindfully. I'm going to be present with you. I'm going to practice it small to begin with, because your brain is maybe used to racing, so you have to give it small bits to start with, because it's not used to it. But our brains are neuroplastic, and they can change, and they can come into this now.
And I think
even
using like an activity, sometimes when you struggle to focus, using something practical, an activity. So whether it's maybe some art or knitting or crochet or something intricate, cooking, something that requires, your hands, something physical and your focus, you're a lot more mindful then. So if you really struggle to switch off the thoughts and be in the present moment, then I think, choose an activity like that can be really useful.
And people have chosen mindfulness for many years inadvertently. People who knit in the evening, crochet, do colourings, read, paint. It's mindful, and they're choosing it because it gives their brain space and it feels calm. But you're doing something, so it's not too focused.
The same with running, isn't it? Running and exercise. A lot of people say, I run to clear my head.
Yeah, that repetitive motion.
So doing something with their body, and in that moment they're being mindful, whether they're aware of that or not.
Definitely. And when I'm teaching it, I am saying it in an easy way. Do it when you do this. Don't very few people have got the time to do an hour meditation in the quiet on their own with a candle every day. That's too big. And being mindful on purpose in your day is just as powerful. Yeah. Just as powerful. You will get just the same results or similar results to that, because your brain is just coming in this moment, washing the dishes, coming in, listening to that music, coming into this moment. And you start training it with the easier things. And eventually, if you want to, it can do it without anything. Yeah. But the results, the NHS promotes mindfulness, one of the biggest healthcare organisations in the world, the NHS is, and it promotes mindfulness for anxiety, depression, panic, all sorts. So it's not just someone saying it's, in a meditation circle now. It is been proven to really help us.
And we are both saying it because we've experienced it. Yeah. We've had these health conditions, and we've come through it, and mindfulness has been a huge tool.
Oh my gosh. It's a tool in your toolbox, is there?
Yeah.
Being in the now is a huge tool. And people will often say to me, but Suzanne, you are so calm. I learned to be calm. Yeah. I was not a calm child. I was not a calm teenager in any way, shape or form. I learned how clever our brains are. I don't think we're born a certain way. I think we become, and I think we keep becoming. But your brain will use an excuse. Listen to it now. If you're listening to us and you're saying, I'm too busy for that. I don't like all that stuff. I'm not into that stuff. There is no stuff. It's about being here, being now. There's no stuff. No one is too stressed to bring themselves into the now and feel the hugeness of that. And once you do, I don't think you ever want to go back. No. You want to keep growing and learning and being in this moment. So really, what would be your favourite things? What's your favourite way to come into the now? What's the most joyful way?
I think anything for me in nature has to be my go-to. You know, if I want to fill myself up and be in the now and have that lovely, calm feeling, serene, you know, a beach, up in the mountains, anywhere with trees, listen to birds, that just fills me up no end. Walking on sand, oh, I love barefoot. Walking on sand just really does it for me. So yeah, well, what about you?
Yeah, I would say nature is a big one. Nature is a big one for me, and I love meditating, so I would put that in as well. Reading is my thing. I love reading. I love being in that moment of the book and the words and the characters in the moment, and walking in the sea, by the sea, in the sea, snorkeling in the sea. I love the quietness of snorkeling, just the no sound in the sea. Always love
anything
that.
on the water, whether I'm in the water, on the water, just being around water.
And it's not hard. So what Rhian and I are sharing now, we're not sharing the hard stuff. We're sharing that, can I be in the moment while I'm putting the kettle on? Yeah. Can I be in the moment eating my favourite chocolate cake? Yeah. But your mind starts learning and starts creating pathways which will make you feel calmer, stronger. It says we're more intelligent as well if we're mindful because our brain is more focused. So that's got to be a good thing. It's brilliant for children as well, learning. Adolescents, teenagers, dealing with changes in their life. If they've got that stability and that space, they can handle so much more on the journey, being in the now. And if you've ever watched anything by Eckhart Tolle, he's like, it's the only moment. This is where your life is. Here, right here. And as we spoke with Tara last week, life is only in this moment. There is no future moment guaranteed that you will experience that wonderful thing you want to experience. You are only in this moment. And this moment leads to the next moment and the next moment, which is where the power is, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I'm choosing joy in this moment, maybe my next moment will be more joyful. And that's huge. And it's also linked to manifestation. It's part of manifestation. And when you're in this moment, what experience are you having? How can you flow that into future experiences? But there's so much power in this moment. It made my brain, I felt, if I could describe it as when it worked for me, was like a sigh, like a, oh my gosh, I don't have to think all the time. I don't have to believe all those things my thoughts tell me. I can live a different life. And it was being here again, like being here again. It's like, oh, this is the world, but it's a different world. And it's a much better one for me, personally. I couldn't recommend it enough. I mean, I've been teaching it for a long time, but I couldn't recommend it enough. Be in this moment.
Yeah, and for me, it was, just going from being in, 5th, 6th gear, or top gear all the time, coming down and just, wandering through life in 1st or 2nd. It was just knocking it down a bit from being, everything was always in a rush, have to be done now, because my head was busy. So my head was busy, which made everything else just,
If you find you're always late, this could be a thing. I'm always late because a stressed and anxious brain is constantly doing that. It'll be late because it's continuing the momentum of that stress and busyness. When you slow down the brain is more able to be present when it needs to be. I mean, that's a big field there, but that's just a little thought for you if you found you people who are often late or drive very fast or drive on their brakes quite a bit. It's because the mind is very busy and it's trying to release and trying to be faster.
And it's quite funny now. Since that realisation with me, I now notice drivers as I, drive along the road. You can tell. You can tell the ones who are, in that rush and busy by the way that they drive.
Yes, the fast, jerky, staccato driving. It's how people speak when they're stressed as well. The fast, get it. But we can be in this now. This is where we're living. This is our life. And if your brain is giving you excuses right now, ask the excuses, are they worth it? Are they worth it? Because they are hard. And if you think mindfulness is hard, which hard are you going to choose? Being in the now might be hard for you, but being stressed and anxious and constantly is hard. So for me, it was a choice, luckily taken away from me because I had to, in a way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be this person now. But it is a choice, isn't it? But which one are you going to choose?
Yeah. And I think, shall we set an intention or an affirmation before we sort of finish this episode? Because we like to do that to sort of start your week well with some form of intention. Yeah. So what do you think, Suzanne?
Okay. I'm going to try and be more present this week. So I'm going to make it quite gentle for me, because maybe it's the first time I've ever done this. I'm going to try and be more present this week. I'm going to try and be more present. Mm-hmm. Or you could choose something specific. I'm going to try and be present when I brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to try and be more present when I'm having breakfast in the morning.
Actually taste your food.
Yeah.
Whilst you're eating.
Enjoy it.
Enjoying your food. Taste it. Really feel it in your mouth and taste it and hear the sounds that it makes as you're chewing. So mindful eating is a great one as well.
Brilliant
you
one.
could practice that, and it's also great for your digestive system as well, because we tend to eat a lot slower when we're mindfully eating rather than just I used to eat so
Shove
quickly.
it in. That's also a symptom of
I used to eat so quickly.
I haven't got time. Quick, rush everything.
Yeah,
rush and then
now I got belly.
Yeah. Like, where are we rushing? Where are we? It's only your brain telling you need to be faster, because it's caught up with you. You're telling it to be fast, and it's telling you to be fast. So maybe think of a lovely intention for bringing it into the now, and do something mindful today. You really will benefit so much from it, I believe.
Yes. So thank you for listening again, and we're so grateful to all of you for all your messages, all your likes, all your comments, all your shares. We really do love this community, so thank you so much.
Definitely. And if you saw our last episode with Tara, there's a good GoFundMe link in there to support her on the journey. Share that with everyone and anyone to see if we can boost that for such an amazing cause. Find out more about us or about that itself. All details are in our bio. And remember, you are awesome today and always. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Send in love.